Everyone. Hello. Welcome to our live show today about US grad school. As you come in, let me know where you are joining from. It would be nice to know where you're joining from. Yeah, don't mind me. I'm still fiddling with this YouTube thing and I'm getting acquainted to it. Let the people on my group know that we are live. Okay, if you come in, do let me know where you're joining from. I have 1 hour to be here, so let me know where you're joining from so that we can get started with our conversation for the day. Yeah, so today we'll be talking about US grad school. We are talking about best practices. What is the best way you can go recently in the US? There's been a lot of budget cuts. Can you see me though? Yeah, please, if someone comes in, let me know if you can see me and if you can hear me. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Okay, I don't see anybody here. I hope the link is correct and working correctly. Oh, blessing, you're here. Can you? All right. If you hear me, please let me know. Let me know that you're here and you can hear me. Where are you joining from, Blessing? Where are you joining us from? Surprisingly, I don't see you up here, so I was wondering if anybody could hear me. I don't know if it's the network. Welcome, Blessing. Where are you joining from? I don't know if this is on public or if it's on private. I'm still figuring it out. Okay, Onitsha. Wow, I'm from Anambra myself, so I know Onitsha really well. Welcome. Ezedin Kadrin. Welcome. Where are you joining from? All right. I was just making sure, you could hear me and everything. So our conversation today, it's about applying and preparing for graduate school. This is what I dedicated this 1 hour. It's 7 o'clock in the morning for me. So 7 to 8 every day. Oh, wow. Now I see a lot of people. I wasn't seeing anybody before, so I was just making sure I wasn't talking to myself. Welcome. All right. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. It's so exciting to have everyone here. So like I said, our conversation is about US grad school, and I dedicate this session to answering questions. It's just to answer your questions about grad school and any questions you may have, any confusion you may have. So let me know the questions that you have. When you start preparing for US grad school, there are a couple of things. There are major things that you need to have on ground, right? By the time you start, when you decide that you want to come to the US for your PhD. So there are certain things that are the first things that you need to know. Theophilus, hello, thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure to have you join us. Leila, you are welcome. Welcome, everyone. This is a question and answer session. I hold these sessions every week, Saturday. Hi, Kadri. Hello, thank you. Where are you joining from? Thank you for joining. I hold this show every Saturday at the same time, right? And the goal is to just clarify some of those areas of confusion. So if you are in our group, in our WhatsApp group for ScholarUP, do let the people know that we've started so that we can maximize the time, right? We need to actually maximize this time in terms of the benefits that we get out of it. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, you may want to subscribe, share this to other people who you know are trying to prepare to come to the US for school. That's going to be great. Share to them so that they will know all of this, the things that you need to prepare for grad school. They are simple things, but most times when you don't have the clarity, when you don't have the knowledge of what you need to do, that's where you see people being very confused, not knowing what to do, just making a lot of mistakes because they don't know. Leila from Canada, okay, thank you for joining. It's a pleasure to have you here. And like I said, let me introduce myself. So all of this while I was just trying to make sure my communication was working because I'm still understanding YouTube myself. So this is our 3rd week of doing this because I have a lot of mentees who are preparing for US grad school, and it's difficult to answer everybody's question one after the other. It's really hard because I'm very busy. So I dedicated this time every Saturday morning, 7 to 8 o'clock my time, which is Pacific time, to just answer the question of those who show up. My name is Dr. Amaka, and I think I got my PhD from Texas A&M University. I graduated in December. For those of you who don't know me, you'll be able to see some information about me. I had the pleasure of actually giving the commencement speech at my graduation. I also have that speech on my YouTube here. You can search for it under my videos, and I'm sure you will learn a thing or two about it. So my journey has been that of resilience. I'm Nigerian, right? In case you're wondering where my beautiful accent is from, it's from Nigeria. I'm Nigerian. I came to the United States for graduate school. I came here at the tail end of 2021, and I started my PhD at the beginning of 2022. Right, and the same year of my PhD, I was diagnosed with cancer. Those of you who know me, you know this story. This story is something that I've put up. So imagine being a new student, new person in a new country, alone by myself, without family, now having cancer, having to go through PhD. So that's my own journey. So when you see some of the things I do, it comes from a place of passion, it comes from a place of experience, it comes from my own personal struggles. I know the things I've been through, and I try as much as possible to make it easier for those who are coming behind me. Hi, Shedrack, you're welcome. Just to make it easier for them not to have to pass through some of those hurdles. So I created this 1 hour time, and I just take questions. Like, what are your questions about coming to the US? If you're planning to come to the US through school, because that is what I know. If you're coming through any other means, I'm not an expert in that. But if your goal is to come to the United States through graduate school, you want to get a master's degree, you want to get a PhD, and you are confused, you don't know where to start from, or you've started and you're stuck somewhere. So this 1 hour is like a masterclass for you to come and say, this is what I've been going through, or this is what I'm doing. Can you help me provide clarity on this or clarity on that, right? So I was just introducing myself to just tell you a little bit of my own journey and why I take the time to come and do this show every Saturday morning, even though it's not always very convenient for me. 7 in the morning, I'd rather be sleeping in rather than being here. But I believe that this, even if it is helpful to one person or 2 people or 3 people, then I've made a difference in their life, and that's enough for me. That's okay for me. This is not about having the whole world attend. It's really about the impact and the difference it makes in the lives of those who do attend and make use of the information that I give out to them, right? So when you are deciding to come to the United States for graduate school, Eniola, it's good to see you. Hello, thank you for joining. If you have any questions, please let me know in the chat. If you have any questions related to coming to graduate school, just put it in the chat. I'm looking at the chat. I'm trying not to miss anybody's question. If you have any question, put it in the chat. I'm going to try to address your question as I continue giving you the points that I want you to take home with you in this 1 hour period, right? So we have about 50 minutes remaining now. Time is of essence. I always tell those who I'm mentoring, I say, come to these sessions prepared. It's not about just coming to listen. It's not, if you keep listening and you are not implementing and you're not doing anything, it's a waste of your time. It's also the waste of the time of the person who is trying to support you, who is trying to help you, right? So come into the sessions prepared. I said it again, if you don't have any interest in coming to graduate school, maybe in the coming year or in the next few years, then maybe this session is not for you, because I'm now defining the session. This session is strictly for those who have that graduate school desire. Not everybody will go to graduate school, and that's okay. It's not, graduate school is not the only path to success. There are so many other paths. But if you are outside the US, you're in Ghana, you're in Nigeria, you're anywhere in the world, and you feel like, I want to come to the United States to get my graduate education, then this is the right place for you. And I expect you to come engaged, help us to share out the live, invite your friends who you know that would benefit from this conversation, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Okay, Shedrack, you said you're asking 2 questions. You said, do I need to apply for admission before seeking for assistantship? And then, can graduate assistantship cover the cost of travel ticket? Okay, these are 2 very, very important questions. Yeah, thank you for bringing that question. A couple of people have asked me this question in the past. 2 things. Now, when you talk about graduate assistantship, there are basically 2 types of graduate assistantship most of the time. So the first one, you have research assistantship, which is from the professor that is in the professor that runs the lab, right? That's the PI, the principal investigator. So that will be your advisor covering your education. In that case, you are a research assistant in the lab. Then you have graduate teaching assistant, Most of this one, the funding comes from the department itself. So you become like a teaching assistant for, for a course in the department and things like that. So those are like the two parts for graduate assistantship. Actually, you can apply for research assistant. You can show your interest. It's not an application. You can indicate your interest, because if you're trying to come to graduate school, the easiest way to get funding, like the quickest way to shorten the gap for yourself, is to find a professor who is willing to take you into their lab. That's actually the quickest way for you to find funding, is that you actually find a professor who is willing. What am I doing? What am I clicking? Oh my God. All right, sorry about that. I'm still fiddling with this thing, right? So what I'm saying is the easiest way for you to find funding as you're trying to come into the US for graduate school is to find a professor who your interests align with their program. So let's say in that lab, they are doing engineering, and you have a degree in engineering, you like the kind of research they're doing, they also see the alignment. So the easiest way for you to land a fully funded scholarship is for you to find a professor who is willing to take you into their lab. And how do you go about this? You go to the school website, you begin to do research, you begin to look at all the faculty, you see the different research they're doing, and you start reaching out to them. You send cold email. I suppose you know what cold email is. You start sending cold emails that are very engaging, cold emails that are tailored to that person, and you keep doing that. The more you do that, and then you end up finding a professor who is willing for you to be a research assistant in their lab. In that case, you're covered already. All you need to do, once the professor says, I'm happy to have you in my lab, you go ahead and you apply, right? But then in some cases, there are some schools that they do like a pool. What they do is like, so a particular professor does not just hire a PhD student, because PhD students also work. So it's like they're hiring you, or a master's student. They do it as a group or as a department. In that case, most of the students who are brought in are funded by the department, and you have to be a teaching assistant. So in that case, they have to have given you the admission first. You have to have been accepted first, and then they will provide the funding for you. But I always advise my mentees to go through the first part first, because that saves you a lot of struggle in applying to too many schools. That is actually what it does for you. You won't need to apply to too many schools if you find an advisor who is willing to take you into their lab. In that situation, you can. For me, I always tell people, I only applied to one school when I wanted to come to the US for graduate school. It was one school, one professor, one admission, and I was admitted the first time. Because I knew what I was doing. I had a mentor. I had someone who was guiding me through the process. So people ask me, why are you so passionate about the things you do? I say it's because the reason I'm here is because somebody else took their time. Somebody else made the effort. Somebody else went out of their way to make sure that I'm here. That's the reason. It was not because during that period of time when I was trying to seek admission 4 years ago that I knew what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was lucky. I found somebody who was dedicated, somebody who was willing to listen, who looked at my statement of purpose, looked at my CV, answered all the questions that I had. I had a lot of questions back and forth, just the same way I'm answering your questions now. It made it very smooth for me that I didn't have to be jumping from pillar to post. I didn't have to apply to 20 schools. I didn't have to get rejections over and over and over again before I got in. So information is power. And then implementing the information that you receive, it makes it even more powerful. It makes it much, much more powerful that you're getting this clarity now. You don't just take it and shove it under your carpet. You go back and you put it into practice, and when you come back next week, Saturday, you come back with another question of something that you're doing. Now, for your second question, let me go into your second question. You say, can graduate assistantship cover the cost of travel ticket? In most cases, it doesn't. I've only seen this happen in very few cases where the department or the professor is willing to go the extra mile. The reason for this is because you are not in the US already. So they are not going to send you. How are they going to send you the money? That's always the question, because they can send you money. What if you don't come? I've seen this happen maybe just once or twice in all my time or being in the US, where a school actually paid for a student's travel costs. So most of the time, the travel cost is something that you have to figure out on your own. For me, when I got admission, I had to, sell something. I had to get support so that you can cover that cost of travel, because it's expensive. For example, if you're coming from Nigeria, you're talking about booking a flight for maybe $1,500 or $1,000 if it's just one way, depending, because two-way trip back and forth is like 1.5. It all depends, and depends on how far away you book the flight, right? So most schools do not have arrangements that would cover for your travel costs. But there could be other scholarships. There are other smaller scholarships that you can apply here and there, that when you ask questions and you say, is this scholarship available? They can tell you, yeah, this scholarship is available. Maybe it's a $2,000 scholarship, it's a $5,000 scholarship, it's a $3,000 scholarship that goes directly to the student. When I was in graduate school, I got so many of those kind of scholarship, and it helped me a lot. It helped me a lot. When you go and read some of my posts, I tell you, I got more than 30 awards when I was doing my PhD. And all of those awards, all of those scholarships, most of them come with money. Some come with $1,000, some come with $500, some come with little bits and pieces here and there. That's how you support yourself. But how do you even go about sourcing for them? You need to be informed. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know what you're looking for. You need to even know that those things exist. So that's your second question, that most of these things will not cover your travel ticket. The reason for that is you are not in the US yet. So there is always that concern of, if I send you $1,000 or if I send you $2,000, what if you don't come, right? So that may not be the case. Now, the third question that you have, you said, is it okay to start sending cold emails to professor in a program I want? In fact, I would say it's even late. That's what I tell people. The way graduate school has become so competitive now, if you want to give yourself the best advantage, if you want to give yourself the most competitive advantage, you want to start as early as possible to begin to look for the money. I see people do it the opposite way, which is a big mistake. Like, they start looking for admission. After they find admission, then they start looking for the money. It doesn't just work that way, right? The biggest struggle or the biggest challenge you have with US grad school is not getting the admission. There are schools that would give you admission. There are schools that, if you had money to pay, between today, tomorrow, between next month, you'll be admitted. But the challenge is that the cost of attendance is very, very high. The cost of graduate school in the US, for me, when I was in graduate school, my stipend, my tuition, everything for a year was more than $50,000. So do that math. If you're in Nigeria, for example, calculate 50,000 by maybe 1,600, that is cost of dollar. You realize that that is not an amount of money that people can easily afford. And there's been a lot of budget cuts recently in the US, lots and lots of budget cuts recently in the US. So the reason why that becomes even more, like, it makes it even more difficult for people who are trying to come into graduate school now. It makes it more, because the funding is small. So people are looking for the best, and you are competing with the entire world. You are competing with the entire world, as it were. You are competing with everybody in the world. When you are trying to get admission, you are competing with China, Japan, India. So it's not just you in Nigeria or you in Ghana or you in one place. It's a global competition. So the professors that have the funding, the departments that have the funding, they are trying their most possible best to pick the students who stand the highest chances of adapting. They are trying to get people who will just come on board and hit the ground running. That's the most important. That's what they are trying to do. They want people who will just come on board and they won't spend too many time adapting. So how do you prepare? How do you make it easier for yourself? How do you make it easier for yourself such that when you put out your admission, when you put in your admission, or when you put in your request, because that's another area of mistake that people make. I've seen so many people, I've mentored so many people that most times they just go to the school website and they apply. And you ask them, what was your strategy? Which strategy did you use in applying? They will say, what do you mean strategy? Like, strategy, what's the meaning of strategy? And you start wondering, like, how did you think you were going to be admitted? Like, do you know what the odds are? It's like playing the lottery. I hope all of you know what it means to play the lottery. You go and you buy a lottery ticket. That is what it's like when you just go to the school site and apply without doing the underground work. The work that you do before you get in, that is like the most important effort. The work you put into preparing your documents, your statement of purpose, your personal statement, your CV, the research work that you put into your CV, the way you work on your CV to help your CV to stand out to begin with. Those are all the background work. So, Shadrach, if your plan is next year fall, I will tell you now is the right time to begin to commit the time to understanding the process in details. Start reaching out to professors. Start finding programs that align with your interests. Start working on your CV. Look for a mentor that will help you review it and tell you the gaps. Let somebody look at it and tell you, okay, maybe you need to beef up this area, you need to beef up that area, you need to do this, you need to do that. So that you would prepare well ahead of time. You won't be doing last minute rush. People who want to apply this fall, because application season has opened, right? So application season started sometime in August, and for most schools, it will be closing in December. People who want to apply this fall, you need to make sure, if your goal is to submit your application for this year, so that you will be admitted for next year fall, as the case may be, you need to make sure that the application you are submitting is meeting the key requirements that is needed. That is just the thing. You just need to make sure that what you are submitting is meeting the requirements that is needed for you to get in. Otherwise, it becomes an exercise in futility. And many people do this all the time. Like, you apply every year, they keep rejecting you, and you don't stop to ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? Most times it's not the grade. People think, oh, I graduated with first class. I graduated with first class. That's something that you hear all the time. Somebody will say, I graduated with first class, or I graduated with a strong 2-1. The admitting officers, the people who are sitting down in admission, it's not just your first class they are looking at. That's the thing. It's not just there are so many odd components. Admission packages are actually evaluated as a whole. It's evaluated as a whole. It's not evaluated as a single unit. It's not like this is the one thing we are looking for. Or when I look at your CV and I see this one thing, then you're good to go. That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. There are so many fine details that come into play. So it's very important that you know that this is my goal. This is something that I'm dreaming towards. This is something that I'm working towards. So how do I begin to, for example, how do I structure my statement of purpose? That is one thing. What are the components? What do I need to have in my CV in order for my CV to stand out? That is another thing. If you have any question, put it in the chat so that I can see. Let me see what somebody is saying. I don't see your name. You say you like people who can study well because you couldn't. Why could you not? You say you always study alone. You say you couldn't find a teacher. Well, nowadays there are so many options for online learning, right? That's the thing. There are so many options for online learning where you can actually take advantage of forums like this. People go out of their way. Sometimes for some of us, we're trying to give back. We're trying to do something good for other people, not for any personal benefit or for anything, but because we know where we were coming from too. I share my story with people all the time. The reason I share my story all the time is because I always want to challenge people to tell them, if I can do it, you can. That's the reason I share my story. It's not for any other reason. I came from a very, very poor background. I keep saying it. I came from like a very humble background. Humble background in such that my parents are not even educated per se. Just small-time business people managing our life, managing to go through school. I was an average student, very, very average, until when I got into the university. But aligning with the right mentor, just having somebody who became interested in my journey, someone who started picking interest, somebody who was checking up on me, someone who was checking up on my grades. I ended up going from that average student to the overall best graduating student. What does that tell you? Is that it's possible. It's all in your mind. It's just all in your mind. So most of the time, if you look at it and you feel like, oh, it's not possible for me. Oh, I have all these excuses. Oh, I'm poor. Oh, I'm broke. You will have all the valid excuses that will keep you going. And you will see other people who had even worse struggles than you. You see other people who have much more difficult situation than you did, who would continue to scale. Like every year you will hear it, you see, oh, wow, this person, they ended up being admitted. Oh, this person, they are now in the US. Oh, this person, they are now in Canada. And when you go back and trace their story, you realize that you even have a better story. You had better opportunities. You had better options. The most important thing is, what do you do with that? What do you do with the opportunities that life gives to you, right? Kosa, it's good to have you here. You said you're Eric Kosa from Ghana. Does all assistantship come with stipend and full tuition waiver? Okay, that's a very important question. All assistantship, when you get full-time assistantship, majority of the time, I've not seen a case where either a graduate assistantship or a teaching assistantship does not come with tuition and stipend. That is standard in the US. That is US standard, because the goal is so that you'll be able to focus on your education. It's very different from the UK system. I've seen that difference, that most times when you see students go to UK for school, you still see them doing odd jobs, they are working in healthcare, or they are trying to do all of those odd things to survive. You hardly see those kind of things in the US, except you don't even get a scholarship at all. Then that's a different case. If you are self-funded, then of course you're figuring it out on your own. But if you're funded by the school, either through graduate assistantship or either through teaching assistantship, your tuition is fully covered, and then you get a stipend. And that stipend, it ranges depending on the school and depending on the location, because of course cost of living is not the same everywhere, right? Cost of living is not the same everywhere in the US. So you go from schools where you see students getting like 1,617 a month to even up to 2,500 to 3,000 a month. But the beautiful thing is that most of the time, this stipend that you get is enough for you to pay your monthly rent, because in the US, we pay our rent monthly. It's unlike somewhere like in Nigeria, we pay our rent once in a year, it's annual rent. But here in the US, you pay your rent monthly. But the beautiful thing is that that stipend that they give to you, it will be enough for you to rent a reasonably okay apartment. Of course, you won't rent a mansion, right? When I was in graduate school, I was in a shared apartment. So I was sharing an apartment with 2 other graduate students. So all of us had our room, our bath, your wardrobe, and then you have a shared area, which is like the living room and the kitchen. So you'll be able to pay for your rent, and you'll be able to pay for food. Food is not so expensive. And you will still have a little to save. So that stipend will be very much okay for you to live on, because if you're in graduate school, you are not expected to be doing any other work. It's just that the work that you're doing is either that research assistant, where you are working in the lab, where you are getting your degree, or you are a teaching assistant, where you are helping to teach and grade. Most of the time, they don't even teach. They just help with lab routines and then help to grade papers. Most of the time, that's what teaching assistants do in the US. You hardly be the one to teach the course yourself, because there will be the full-time professor. So it's just as though you are assisting, as the name implies. You are a teaching assistant, you are just helping to assist, to help a course to run smoothly. So most of the assistantship that you get, it covers these 2 things, because you have your tuition paid and you have your stipend. That is the only way you can be a functional student, because your tuition is paid, and then of course you have a stipend, and you don't need to struggle. Patrick, thank you for being here. You say thank you for taking the time to do this. It's a huge task you're undertaking. I'm in grad school in Nigeria, but I want to move to the same program in the US. Okay. Is this the right time to start applying? Is it very likely that one can get fully funded scholarship program for master's program in the humanities? Okay, Patrick, thank you for your kind words, and I'm happy that you're here. And you said you are in graduate school in the US, in Nigeria. If I may ask, which program are you doing and how far along? Are you doing a master's degree or are you doing a PhD, right? So the reason I'm asking that is, if you're doing a master's degree, I would say keep working on finishing your master's degree, because having a master's degree is going to help you, even if it's a PhD that you're trying to get. The secret that most people don't know is that most of the time, it's easier to get fully funded scholarship for a PhD than it is to get for a master's degree. Most times people don't know it. They think that, oh, because a master's degree is short, it's 18 months, it's 2 years, it should be easier to get funding, but that's not the case, right? Let me take a pause. If you've not shared out the live, share out the live, invite other people. If you are in our page on WhatsApp, let them know that we are live so that more people can join, right? We only have how many people here? Let's have more people in the room so that at least this information can go out to as many people as possible. Share out the live, invite more people. That's the whole point of what I'm doing. Remember, before I started these sessions, I asked all of you in my mentoring group, I said, do you think this is something that is going to be useful to you? I don't have a lot of time to spare. So I want to make sure that if I'm putting my time and I'm dedicating my time, that is actually making a difference in the life of people. And I want you to take the words that I'm giving you and put it into practice. I want you to put it into practice. Don't just hear me and then you come back and hear me again, and then you don't implement anything, you don't start doing anything at all, right? So it is the action itself that makes all the difference. So Patrick, like I was asking you a question, I said, are you doing a master's degree or are you doing a PhD degree in Nigeria? Because you say you're in graduate school. If you are doing a master's degree, I would say start the process of seeking your admission while you are wrapping up your degree. Because having a master's degree strengthens your application. It looks good on your application than you having just a bachelor's degree. It's not that people don't get in from bachelor's degree, they do. But you're trying to increase the odds in your favor. That's exactly what you're trying to do, right? When you are trying to come into graduate school, you are doing the very best you can to make it easier for your package to stand out. So the more insights you can show on your CV, the more credentials, the more things that you've done, the more package, the more qualities that are within your CV, the better it's going to be, or the easier it's going to be for your application to stand out from the next person. And then about getting fully funded master's admission, whether in humanities, it's very possible. It's very likely. Is it easy? No, none of the process is easy. There is no course, there is no department that it's easy to get a fully funded scholar. If it was easy, then many people will be coming, right? If it was very, very easy, you would have much more people than you have. The reason why the percentage of people in graduate school is very small is because it's not very easy. It requires some level of effort. It requires determination. It requires you being able to listen and put things in practice. It's not you just being, it's not, now that AI has taken over everything, people think that, oh yes, AI will solve every problem for me. In graduate school application process, if you don't sit down and take the time to come up with original thoughts, and you are just, regurgitating AI in, garbage out, most times you would also not get in. It's always a game of numbers. There would be more people all the time. All the time, there will be more qualified people than resources are available to carry. At every given time, no matter when you decide to apply for graduate school, whether you choose to do it now or you choose to do it in 5 years' time, there would always be more people who are qualified, who have better qualification than you who are trying to apply. Oh, hello, Kiruka, thank you for coming on board. And Shadrach, you have a question. So I'm finishing up Patrick's question and then I'll get to your question. So it's not something that will be handed to you. That's one thing I want everyone to lock in on their mind. Is it possible? Yes, I did it. I'm telling you it's possible. So many other people are doing it day in, day out. Hundreds, thousands of people have gone from Nigeria, they've gone from Ghana, they've gone from every corner of the world to the US, to Canada. So is it possible? 100% yes, it's possible. You have so many case studies to show you that it's possible. But you need to lock in on your mind to realize that it's not easy. The fact that it's possible does not make it easy. If you're not willing to sit down and put in the time that it requires, if you're not willing to do the work, if you're not willing to go out of your way to begin to do all those outreach, to begin to find those programs that align with you, to network correctly. I tell people don't understand the power of networking in this graduate school process. Let me tell you, most times, the doors that your network will open for you, even your qualification will not open it for you. The fact that somebody recommends you, the fact that somebody says, I know this person, the fact that somebody who is well placed, just says, this person, yes, I know them, give this person a chance. Most of the time, that is the deal breaker. So how do you network intentionally? What are those steps to networking as somebody who is trying to get into graduate school? How do you leverage a platform like LinkedIn, for example? I tell people, all the people think that, oh, LinkedIn is only when you are looking for a job. That's not true. Most of the professors, in fact, let me just say 95% of the, not even maybe 99%, of all the professors you're trying to get their attention, most of them are on LinkedIn. They may not be actively posting every day, but they are seeing what is going on. They log in, they see what is happening. Some of them these days have even started posting because it's becoming more, people are becoming more intentional about putting themselves out there. And you, who is a graduate student, an intending graduate student, an aspiring graduate student, you don't have an active LinkedIn account. You don't have a clear profile that is defining where you are going to. You don't have it stated clearly. You are not showing up daily to put out value, to attract those people. So that by the time you even put your LinkedIn URL in your application and somebody goes to look at your LinkedIn, they will find something interesting. One of my mentees who is working towards coming to the US now, just from posting on LinkedIn, he was just invited to Senegal on a fully funded trip. Imagine that on his CV. Of all, he was just invited as a youth ambassador. And how did he get that connection? From just putting himself out there, following my instructions, doing the things I'm telling him, posting on LinkedIn, posting valuable content. Posting valuable content is not just making noise. So I always tell people that as you are seeking to get into graduate school, your social media itself is a networking tool. It's a networking tool that is supposed to chart a course towards that path. People are supposed to come and look at your LinkedIn, for example, and understand that this is your dream, and all the projects you're doing, the work you're doing, you are showcasing them. You're showing the things. Oh, I attended this conference. Oh, I published this paper. Oh, I did this project. Oh, it's people want to see passion. That is just the thing. People want to see track record. I talk about track record all the time. Track record is very, very important as you prepare for graduate school. Nobody is going to give you anything for free. If you don't go out of your way to build that track record for yourself, you may find it very, very difficult to, you will struggle more, you will keep struggling, but there is a lot of underground work that goes into that preparation that just helps you to stand out. It helps you to look more attractive. I'll tell us the story. This story is a story about the power of having a social media account that can give you favors. Now, I had a mini fridge that I wanted to give out, right? So I wasn't using it and it was just sitting there. So I just put it on Facebook Market and said I wanted to give it out. So many people reached out. But because I was going to give the person my house address, of course, if I'm giving something else, you come and pick it yourself. All I had to do was to go and look at their social media. I looked at the first person, nothing. I could not see any track. Finally, I saw a woman. I saw how I could follow her journey. I could follow her journey from her social media. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's somebody I can trust with my house address. And she came and she picked it up. So that is the same thing. Think about your social media as your digital storefront. Think about it like you have a store. You are trying to showcase yourself. You need to use every means possible. You cannot leave it to chance. You cannot say, oh, yes, favor will fall on me. Oh, luck will blessing fall on me. And you spend all your time jumping, watching TikTok, watching Facebook, but you are not building anything for yourself. You are not able to say, this is what I'm passionate about. This is the project I'm working on. All of those things go to your CV. Even if it's a newsletter that you start on a particular topic of interest and you begin to have subscribers for that newsletter. My newsletter on LinkedIn, for example, has more than 30,000 subscribers. It's on my CV. It's part of work that I've done. Because I can give you the link and you go there and you will look. You go and see, okay, this is what she's writing about. This is what she's done. So it's very, very important that as you prepare for graduate school, that you intentionally build your CV. Intentionally do things that you can add to your CV experience. That is what is going to help you stand out. So getting admission into any course, into any school is possible. Very, very possible. Is it easy? No, it's not easy, right? Shadrach, you say you're applying next year fall. Let me finish my NYSC program. If you're applying next year fall, now is the time to start everything that you need to do. That will make your life much, much easier. If you start now, to begin to work towards it, you start now to begin to prepare towards it, begin to look at your CV to say, even from the NYSC you're doing, what experiences are you getting? In your CDS group, what are you leading? What project are you doing? What are the things you're doing that is preparing you? Do you know that preparation is what it makes all the difference? If you follow me on LinkedIn, you saw earlier this week I made a post. And I said, okay, I had the opportunity to give the commencement speech when I graduated. Like I mentioned before, if you've not watched that speech, it's like 7 minutes, it's on YouTube. You can watch it later, right? My school had more than 70,000 students, and the graduating class was thousands and thousands of people. So many speeches were submitted, hundreds of speeches, and mine was selected as best, and I got to give that speech. Now, the question is, the day I gave the speech, is that the day I learned how to speak in public? No, right? The time I wrote that winning speech, that's not when I learned how to write. So as you begin to work towards graduate school in the US, you're thinking, I want to do it next year fall. Now is the time to begin to ask the right questions. Which course do I want to do? What is my interest? This course that I want to do, what are the requirements? What are the eligibility? When I go to the school websites and look at some of these programs listed, what are some of those things that are required? Have I aligned all my documents? Have I gone to source for my transcript? Is my transcript ready? Do I need West evaluation for the school? Do I need to take a GRE exam? Do I need to take TOEFL? You need to begin to ask all of these questions way ahead of time. It saves you a lot of stress. It saves you so much stress if you are intentional about working on your application way ahead of time. Instead of waiting until the last minute, you just wait until the very last minute and you say, oh, I want to submit my application next month. What do I need to do this month? That is a disaster waiting to happen because you have not put in any time, you've not put in effort into preparation. All right? So you said, let's see, Blessing. Okay, can you review my academic CV and SOP? Sure, definitely. If you are in our group on WhatsApp, you can reach out to me. That's something that we provide at ScholarUP Mentoring Academy. I don't know if you are in, because I have a graduate mentoring group that is close to 500 people. And the reason I even started this show was because of them, mainly, right? I've had them in that group for a while, and I've been thinking in my mind, how do I support so many people? It is very difficult for me to support so many people at the same time. And I felt like, okay, I can dedicate 1 hour every Saturday. That's the least I can do. I wake up in the morning, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. First thing in the morning, I can at least put in the time to answer some of those questions. Oh, you say you are a volunteer for the Ascension. Oh, sure. So you can reach out to me and we can talk about that, right? So that is something that we can talk about because that's part of the things that we provide at ScholarUP Mentoring Academy. So if you are a volunteer at ScholarUP, then you already know a little bit about ScholarUP Mentoring Academy. And I believe maybe most of you here are probably from my mentoring group. I don't know, but if you're not and you want to join, the link is in the description of this event. So you should be able to you'll be able to join. All right. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for coming here. Is there any other question that I'm missing? Patrick says, okay, you are doing masters in University of Ilorin. The first semester is ending. Oh, so you are just starting. Oh, you're just starting. So you still have maybe 1 more year or a little bit over a year. What I would advise you to do is start your graduate school journey. People think that graduate school is just about application. It's a journey. It's really like a journey you prepare to. If you want it to be easy for you, it's not easy. If you want to make it smoother for yourself, if you want to make it less chaotic, you want to give yourself better chances, then you are going to take the time to build the momentum that you need. I tell people, you need to send out so many cold emails, 200, more than 200, depending. The numbers, it depends on the responses you're getting. So the more people tell you, maybe I'm not taking a student this year, or I'm not hiring, or I don't think you're a good fit, the more you expand your network. There are thousands of graduate schools in the US. So it all depends on how much effort. So you realize that if you start early to prepare for the journey, then the chances of succeeding becomes way higher because you start early to prepare. But if you wait until, oh, let me finish my NYSC, then now I finished, now I want to start, you realize that you will finish that NYSC and you will not even be ready. Moreover, if your goal is coming to the US, NYSC it has no bearing in the US. It's not something that is recognized. That's the thing. I've seen students who skipped it or who left at the middle of it, and it has no bearing, really. I'm not saying you should not finish, but I'm just letting you know that. So NYSC is not something that is not a system that the US recognizes. So if your goal is to get into graduate school, I would advise you that as you're doing your NYSC now, which is just 1 year, which will pass very fast. 1 year past, when did we start 2026? 2025, I'm already in the future. When did we start 2025 that we are now in September? Before you say Jack Robinson will be in 2026. So I would encourage you, this is now the time to begin to figure out what is lacking in my CV. Which program, for example, which program are you now? Which program did you get your bachelor's degree? Which course did you get your bachelor's degree? So once you identify the course, you got your bachelor's degree, then the next thing would be, which course now do I want to go to? So how do I bridge it? One important thing that I want to point out to us is, if you want to make it easy for yourself in terms of graduate admission, especially in the US, as much as possible, you want to show close fit from where you are coming from or from the experiences that you have. What do I mean? You don't want to do mathematics as an undergraduate course, for example. You do mathematics. Now you want to do a master's degree and you say you want to do engineering. You did maths, like your BSc degree is maths. And then suddenly you tell yourself, oh, now I want to go to engineering, or I want to go to something completely unrelated. It's not that switching is not possible, but it is harder. That means you need to go out of your way to show the things that you've done that bridges that gap. People are looking for fit. Fit is the most critical thing that people are looking for. Not just your qualification, not just the fact that you graduated with first class, not just the fact that you had this and you had that. No. The question is, do you have the necessary experiences to thrive in this program? Do you have the experiences to thrive in this program? That is the most important thing that admitting officers are looking for. Even the advisor who is running the program. If you are able to show relationship in terms of research, oh, in my bachelor's degree, I did this research on tomatoes. Now I see that you are doing research on tomato in your lab. Oh, I did this and now this is this. Now you have the person's attention because the person can now lean on your experience to say, oh, you have a bit of experience. When you come into this lab, you won't be starting from scratch. People want people that will come and hit the ground running. So take your time as you're doing your service. Don't tell yourself you have time, except you don't want to be out of Nigeria or out of Nigeria since you're doing service by 2026. If your goal is to do that, now is the time to begin to do that cold email. You see, Nkiru says she has sent more than 250 cold emails and still waiting. That's to give you an idea. If you're following the news, you realize that there was a lot of budget cuts this year. That's in the news. That's an information you can get for yourself. There was a lot of federal government budget cuts. So many departments don't have grants. So many advisors don't have grants. They don't have those funding grants. So it's just as though that the chances has even become slimmer. Does it make it impossible? No. People will still be admitted. Come January next year, you will still begin to hear news of, I've been admitted, I just learned. In fact, I had a mentee that just recently got admitted. If you follow my post, you saw I shared that testimonial. So people are still getting admitted. More people will still get admitted. So I don't want you to feel discouraged. The fact that they say, oh, there has been budget cut, oh, that should not discourage you. Instead, that is something that is supposed to even empower you to work harder. For you to know that it's an uphill battle. For you to know that this thing is hard, it's hard, it's hard. It's not something that is easy. But it is an opportunity that is going to change your life. That's the honest truth. If you are in Nigeria, for example, even if you are in the UK, no matter where you are, and you are trying to come to the United States, and that is something that you are passionate about, it's a journey that will change your life forever. It's going to change the trajectory of your life. It's totally going to take you from one point to another point. It makes all the difference. So I want you to begin to see it as future investments. You ask yourself, what are the best practices? How do I invest? How do I prepare myself for this journey? How do I prepare for this journey? You saw Blessing here saying she volunteers at ScholarUP Mentoring Academy. We have a global conference coming in November. We have so many volunteers, maybe like 150 volunteers thereabout, that are working towards that conference. You want to associate yourself with networks that make it easy for you, for your CV to stand out. You want to say, I was a part of this course. I did this thing. Oh, go look at my LinkedIn. These are some of the things that I've done. It makes it easier for yourself. Nobody will give you anything for free. I cannot emphasize that enough. It's not going to just happen. So it's either you are willing to do it and you pay the price and you win, and then you are excited that, oh yes, I paid this price. This is what came out of it. Glory be to God. Or you stay and you wallow in self-pity. Those are the two options. You just stay in self-pity and you complain. Oh, wow, I'm so poor. Oh, this, oh, that. Oh, I'm from this. You will do it year to year, year to year. 5 years down the line, you realize that nothing has changed. Nothing, like you realize that 5 years down the line, nothing at all has changed, right? So it's important for you to ask yourself, what are the best practices? How do I intentionally build my network? How do I have access to mentors, to the right mentors? That's an important point. People don't understand that the biggest thing somebody can give to you, especially someone who can change your life, is access to them. But how do you intentionally get that access that when you send a message to the person, they respond? When you go and you ask the person question, how do you build that access? Sometimes people look at mentorship and they feel like your mentor owes you something. Oh, my mentor should be doing this for me. They should be. Do you ever stop and you ask yourself, how can I make my mentor's life easier? How can I help this person? How can I do something for them? How can I do something small for them that will get their attention? Networking has rules. It's something that, there's something that you do that touches somebody's heart, such that when the person is now thinking about you. I have a mentee, I think some of you may know her, Divine. She's been with me in ScholarUP for more than 1 year. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, this is somebody that I cannot wait for her to come to the US. Why? Because she's always willing to, what can I do? How can I support? What will I do? How can I make things easier? That is life. That's how it goes in life. You realize that the people who want to help you, they also want something from you. And most times it's not even money. Sometimes it's just loyalty. Sometimes it's even in the small things. It's like in sharing events. For example, I most of the time people don't know that I'm watching and I just laugh. And I'll ask a question on the group. I say, how many people will be willing to share this event? Most times, maybe nobody. How many people will be willing to? These are simple things that don't cost you money. But then you feel like, oh, this person owes me. They owe me their attention. They owe me whenever I reach out to them. Let them answer me. Let them leave everything they're doing and answer me. Oh, this person owes me this. They owe me that. But the little things that you can do for them that would just make them happy, you feel like, no, I'm not going to do it. But life doesn't work that way. I always tell people, that's the rule of life. Most of the people who gain more in life are people who give more. That's just how it is. You see people who, it looks as though things always come easy for them. Sometimes people tell me that. People tell me, oh, things always come easy for you. And I just laugh. It's like you don't know how much the person gives. How much they give of their time, how much they give of their effort, how much they give of, like how much kindness they put out into the world. It's the law of nature, and that thing works in every sphere of life. It works in what I'm teaching you. These are just the laws of nature. These are things that will take you from point A to point B. If you are always like, let me take, what will they give me? What would I get? What will I get? I don't have anything to give. I don't have money. I don't have time. I don't have this. If you're that kind of person, you realize that most times you won't go very far. You won't go, that's just how it is. You won't go very far. Sometimes what is needed of you to give is not money. Sometimes it's a little support. Sometimes it's as little as sharing an event. It's a little as inviting other people. It's a little as sharing. It's a little as liking. It's just a little as liking, sending in likes so that, the events get more visibility. It could just be small things like that that makes all the difference. And that is how life works, because as human beings, we are emotional people. Human beings we are just emotional. A lot of decisions, you would think that a lot of decisions are made based on logic. That's not true. A lot of human decisions are not made on logic. Even very important decisions. They are based on emotions because we are emotional people as human beings. So I'm just encouraging you as I begin to wind down. This is application season that has opened. If you're still planning to submit your application, you still have a couple of months. You have September, October, November, December to figure out best practices. To ask yourself, what should I be looking at? What is missing? Is my SOP in order? Is my personal statement in order? Is my CV well written? Do I have my transcript? You still have enough time to work on it. You still have enough time to begin to reach out to professors. And for those of you who are targeting next fall, even better for you. It gives you even more time to build those strong networks. It gives you more time to build those networks. And I will encourage you, understand how to use LinkedIn. Cohort 15 of our LinkedIn Elevation program is launching today. Some of you may be in that cohort, some of you may not be. That's something that you want to, like, how do I use LinkedIn to accelerate my career journey? How do I use LinkedIn to accelerate my grad school search? How do I do those searches? How do I see those advertisements? Every day, sometimes I share some of them in the group when I come across them. There's hardly no day I don't see a professor in the US advertising that they're hiring for PhD. That's to tell you that they are still hiring, no matter how it is. New people are still being brought in every single day, no matter how tough it is. So sometimes when I come across it, I share it in the group. I say, okay, PhD opportunity. Go and check it out if it concerns you. So how do you begin to connect yourself with the right network so that you see some of these postings by yourself? How do you make your LinkedIn? I see some of your LinkedIns, you don't have anything there. Like there's nothing to show for the work that you're doing. You're not even making an effort. And you say you want to get into graduate school. Nobody's going to hand anything to you. You should realize that you are the package. You invest in yourself. Learn, do the best you can to invest in yourself so that by the time you come out and you're talking, by the time they invite you for interviews, by the time they set up those Zoom calls, you will show up prepared, you will show up confident. Some of the skills, the people skills that is needed to move ahead in life, they are learned. Skills like public speaking, skills like confidence, skills like communication, skills like writing, skills like personal branding. All of these skills are learned. It's not something that you won't just wake up one day and know how to do it. That's one thing. Some of the people that pass through my cohort is when we come to a point and I say, make a 1-minute video. And then they realize, they see how difficult it is. People think that some of us that are able to come out and we are just talking, that, oh yeah, it's very easy. Oh, is it not just to talk? Or you just flip off your camera and you make a 1-minute video and you are not saying, People think that is something that just happens. It doesn't just happen. It is repetition. It's repeated practice. The more you work on your communication skill, the better you get at it. And that is why most of the time, the people that give so much actually become better. Very recently, if you follow me, you saw me, I put out a post and I said, these are all the roles I've volunteered for in recent times. It was not even an exhaustive list. If you scroll down on my LinkedIn, you still see that post. I don't think it's been 2 weeks since I made that post. I said, these are all the roles. These are all the roles. Leadership roles, president of this, vice president of this, logistics lead of this. The things that people learn how to do. When you now begin to do administration, when you begin to organize, when you begin to do things, you see the work we are doing at ScholarUP. People ask you, how do you know how to do the things you do? You say, because I've learned them because over time, through practice, through experience. Think about your grad school journey as that same path. Think about it like that. Don't think that anything is going to happen just because. It's not going to happen just because, right? Let me see what Patrick said. He said the point you made about posting content relating to where you are going, our goals on our social media on LinkedIn, hits hard. I need to start posting relevant academic content. Good. Good. And if you don't understand LinkedIn, join our LinkedIn Elevation program. There are so many, like LinkedIn itself is a search engine. Indeed. You cannot tell me that you want to go to graduate school and I go and I look at your LinkedIn. I don't see any journey that is showing me where you are going to. I don't see anything to convince me to take you seriously. LinkedIn is a search engine. When you begin to build your presence there, when somebody Googles your name, your LinkedIn post will come up. The things that you want to achieve for yourself, nobody will hand it to you. I can't emphasize it enough. It's either you calm down and ask the right questions. What do I need to do to achieve this? What are some of the things that are needed for me to make progress in this? What are some things that is going to make a difference for me? It's very, very, very important that you put that into consideration and you ask yourself those questions. Because, like I said again, it's either you understand best practices and you do them, or you just feel like, well, but the reason I keep showing up, right? And I told myself, I said, okay, now that I've committed this time, even if it is 2 people that show up, I'm going to show up and I'm going to answer their questions and I'm going to tell them everything I know about grad school based on my own experience. It's because for me, it's not just about the number of people showing up, it's about the difference it makes in your lives. That is the win for me. That somebody sent me a message. I saw, what's her name, Busola. She made a post recently. She just got to the US, right? And she was thanking her mentors and she tagged me to the post. I knew when she was coming back and forth to ask me questions about grad school. It was sometime last year when we were starting ScholarUP. Some of you may know her because she was even part of the LinkedIn Elevation program. She was part of now she's in the US. She made that post very, very recently, not even up to 1 week ago. And when I read the post, I was very happy. I was like, yes, that's the point of everything you're doing. That somehow along the way, it changes somebody's life. That person is now in the US. Eventually, they'll be able to do the same thing for other people. Eventually, you too will be willing, you too will have the opportunity to do the same thing for other people. So I'm wrapping up now. It's 1 hour by my time. It's going to be 1 hour every week. I encourage you, invite other people. Let's make this a family. There's more than close to 500 of you on that group. And I'm sure you know other people who are aspiring towards this journey. When it comes to the US grad school journey, if you don't make it a solo journey, it's much more easier for you. The reason why most of you find it so difficult is that you're trying to figure out everything by your own. This opportunity, this group that you are coming together, is an opportunity for you, like, oh, Blessing, Patrick, all of you know that you are chasing the same thing. You begin to talk to each other. You begin to figure out, share ideas between each other. That's the whole point. You don't make it a solo journey. You learn together. You encourage each other. You build those small teams where you work together. Nothing just happens. Networking with people is an intentional effort. I keep telling people all the time, you want to build strong networks, be intentional. Find the people who are seeking the same thing, similar things like you. That's a good place to start because you will understand each other's journey. You would understand each other's journey. Find people who are trying to achieve similar goals. Oh, I'm trying to get to grad school. Do I build a team of other 4 or 5 or 6 people and 6 of us will work together? 6 of us will share resources. 6 of us will talk to each other. These are all simple things, but it will keep you on point. It will sharpen you. It will help you in a way that you won't give up. Because when you are giving up, somebody will come and remind you. Somebody will come and say, oh, how many cold emails have you sent? How many professors have you reached out to? How many responses? So you become each other's accountability partner. That's how you scale the process. That's how you make a difference. It's not just about saying, oh, I'm going to do everything by myself. Oh, I'm going to do it. That's how people get so exhausted. It's very, very possible. And as usual, I end by encouraging you. Vivian, you're welcome. We are wrapping up now. But we have this show every Saturday, same time. For my Nigerian time, what time is it even in Nigeria? Somebody tell me so that I know. For my own time, I know it's 7 to 8 in the morning. But tell me the time it is in Nigeria, right? So, but we have this show the same time, 1 hour, and the focus is about US graduate school. That is what the focus is. That is the topic. And I go out of my way to teach you from my experience, to prepare you, to give you the mindset that you need to succeed. It is 80% mindset and 20% work. 80% of what will help you succeed in your journey is your mindset. It's just having that understanding of, I need to know what it takes to succeed. Just let me know what it takes to succeed. I understand that it's not easy. I understand that nobody is going to give me anything, but I need to know, what do I need? What are some of the things that I need that will make a difference? So I'll keep coming up. I'll keep showing up. I'm going to see all of you next week, Saturday. Thank you so much for coming up today. It's always been a pleasure chatting with you. Patrick, Vivian, Blessing, all of you who commented on the chats, Kosha, Eniola, Kadri, all of you. It's been a pleasure. I hope we can keep this community going, keep this learning journey going. And come next season, we'll have so many testimonials from here. We'll have people saying, Patrick, oh yes, now I've been admitted. Shadrach, I've been admitted. That's the journey. That's the joy of what we are doing. So I wish you all the best. I'm going to end the live show now. Looking forward to seeing you again next week. Take care of yourself and God bless you.